Good afternoon and welcome to America's Home Cooking. I made ricotta cheese this morning and I have whey left over in here, and what I'm going to do is can it. I'm waiting for my jars and then I'm going to put them here, and everything's going to have to cool because we're going to have what you call cold packing. The water in here is cold, the pot is cold, this is cold, the jars are hot, but we're going to cool them down, and when they're cool we're going to pack all of this up, and it's called a cold pack. And then we'll set it in the pressure cooker and then we'll get it started. You can also, the way I'm showing you to do whey, you can do milk and heavy cream as well. Do not try buttermilk. I tried it, didn't work. Don't do sour cream either, okay? You can do heavy cream and milk and whey. I've canned, but they all start with a cold pack. Believe you me, the other ones don't, because my buttermilk was a mess. I just keep my buttermilk going, and I've already showed you how to do that. Now, I had mentioned something about the bladder, and it's all over the internet about, they tell you to buy these panties, and there's a lot of layer in it. It's like actually having a Kotex or a diaper on. I know some men who are having this problem as well. So, I'm going to talk about it. Now, these are going to be some B vitamins that I'm mentioning, but first off, remember, you cannot take one B without taking all the others. This is very important that you know this, and you must know that your digestive system is up. If it's not, and you take the vitamins, it's going straight through and you're not going to get anything. So, I'm going to be reading some stuff. It's going to get a little personal. So please understand, I'm reading from my nutrition books, and believe you me, they are so worn out. But anyway, let me give you some of them. So while we're waiting for let me get the jars out. I can get the jars out now, and then I'll start reading. I have to get these jars cool. I'm very aware, I'm going to call it bedwetting to simplify it instead of using dropsy and all these other words that they use. We're going to just simplify it, and I'm just going to call it bedwetting, and then that way we pretty much know what it's about when I talk. When you heat these jars up, you heat them up for 20 minutes at 220. If you wonder why at 220, because that's boiling point. And you're going to bring this, when you seal it, it has to come up to a boil and to the pressure you have. That's why you only heat the jars up to 220. That's your boiling point, if you wanted to know why. All right, now while these are cooling, because they're piping hot right now, I'll do some reading, just to give you an idea. Now remember, we're going to be using the word bedwetting, but it's for people who have problems holding their bladder. I've already told you you need protein, because all your muscles are protein, all right? Your bones need them to stay strong. Your teeth need them. By the way, your teeth grow back. They really do. I've proven this. I've got, I had some extra growth on my teeth, and they interfered with my bite, just 3 spots. It was tearing the inside of my mouth up, and I didn't have a bite because I had a growth in the middle. So what happened is that I went to the dentist, and my mother had them drill it so I could have a bite, and he filled it in. Well, 20 years later, I'm in my, well, let's say I'm about, how old was I? No, I think I was 19, about 19. One of my fillings fell out. Oh God, I panicked. I said, oh no, because pulling a tooth is like, well, anyway, I don't like dentists. Anyway, I went to the dentist many years later, and because of the nutritional diet that I was eating, when I went to the dentist, he said, you got a hole in your tooth here. And I said, what? He said, you got a tiny little pinhole here, but I've got to take care of this. So he went in and he really looked at it. He said, it looks like you have a filling inside this hole. So he opened the hole, just drilled to open the hole, and he found out that only part of my filling had fallen out. The other part was still in there, and the whole tooth was growing to close itself up. So see, your teeth do grow. If you eat well, it continues growing throughout your life. The enamel keeps growing and getting stronger no matter what you do, unless you don't eat right. So see, protein is very important. It holds your stomach in. It gives you the strength to walk long. Even if you're older, you can do more. You'll be able to pick things up. You won't be in as much ache and pains and stuff like this. All right, so now we're going to talk about this. If there's a deficiency in your diet with magnesium, now remember, calcium and magnesium have to go hand in hand. It's a 2 to 1, so you have to take twice as much calcium as you do magnesium. But if you are deficient in magnesium, you have a problem passing urine when the blood potassium becomes low following severe stress. Pregnancy is a stress. Medications are stress. The potassium gets thrown out, but you need that potassium to work with that magnesium. Okay? Now you also, with these diets, you're going to be, if you're having this problem, your diet is also deficient in B2 and pantothenic acid. But by supplying the missing nutrients, but remember, you have to supply them all at once. With all the other ones, the problem disappears. You don't have the problem anymore. So if you sneeze, you don't have to worry about it. That's what elderly have a problem with. But if you have children bedwetting, they're missing nutrients and they're losing the tone of the bladder to be able to hold that urine without letting it out. That's the problem when people get older. And that's just a few of them. Okay, now hold on. I have to go back into the index here because it was 3 pages that I was going to take from, but I wanted you to understand. Okay, we did this page. Let's go to 224. Okay, where is it? Okay, now people who are deficient, once again, in vitamin B6, they will feel weaker. They're walking, they get a wide, funny gait when they're walking. They lose bladder control. They don't feel good about themselves, and their mental alertness decreases. And then they end up with muscle cramps, trembling, and a whole lot of other things. B6 is that important to help hold those muscles together, to help that bladder hold in what you need when you have to go to the room. I was going to say to the ladies' room, but there are men listening who have problems. So I'm sorry if I say ladies' room, please forgive me. So, but if you have enough B6, you feel strong. You walk with a steadier gait, and you'll have better bladder control, a greater sense of well-being, an increased mental alertness, and a decrease in muscular cramps, trembling, and rigidity. Now see, these are symptoms that older people get after a lifelong of not getting all the nutrients you need to keep on repairing. These symptoms come up, and instead of the medical profession helping you, you sit there and they say, well, wear a Kotex, wear a Shield, or they'll give you these, I'm going to call them adult diapers, okay? That's exactly what they are. And people are ashamed to pick them up, so they have them delivered to the house. But it's embarrassing. All right, now that's on that. Now we're going to talk about muscle abnormalities and what can happen, because the bladder is a muscle. That's 241. Now, as I read some of this to you about other problems, you will notice that they're all intertwined together. You'll hear about Cholent in another spot, that it does something else as well. So this is why it's so complicated for me to give you all this information, or just say, we'll take this vitamin and this is what it does. I can't, because I'll explain vitamins in a minute. All right. Okay, I'm going to have to read this. Let's hope I can read this right. An entire battery of nutrients is necessary for the production of acetylcholine, vitamin B1, pantothenic acid, potassium, and many others. A lack of choline itself causes a marked underproduction of acetylcholine and results in muscle weaknesses, damage to the muscle fibers, and extensive scarring. And it is accompanied by the urinary loss of a substance, creatine, which invariably shows the muscles are being destroyed. You see? The daily choline intake of America is said to be less than 1/5 of the estimated requirement that our body needs. And although it can be made from the amino acid methionine, provided a high protein diet is eaten, folic acid and B12 and other B vitamins are necessary before this amino acid can be transformed into the vitamin. You see how all this is working together? Now, if you don't get enough vitamin E and it is undersupplied, you'll again get muscle weakness, damage, scarring, and loss of creatine occurs. But by giving vitamin E rectifies the situation. Now there's 3 different kinds of E's. You have mixed catopherol, D-alpha catopherol spelled with an O, and D-alpha catopherol spelled with a Y. They know the mixed catopherols sit in the body, they don't do anything. The synthetic D-alpha catopherol does nothing for the body, but the D-alpha catopherol with the Y keeps the oxygen level in your body. Now, if you just take vitamins, I mean, you pop the pills, you know, everybody has their vitamins. The vitamins don't have the enzymes. When you see the vitamins in the food, they take the vitamins from the food, you'll see that they have enzymes connected to them and other things that they don't even know what it does, but they know the body needs it. So if you're popping pills, they are probably being synthetically made. So you're not getting all those extra little things that you need. This is why when you see me baking, I'm constantly putting wheat germ in, or I use brewer's yeast. I use the powdered milk as well. So you can see I put it in the food, but that doesn't count that I don't take my calcium magnesium every day. That it does not count that I take my rose blossom every day. It does not cover for the A and D that I take every day. I take a vitamin E every day, and I take a vitamin C every day. I make sure I take all of those vitamins, but with those vitamins, I make sure I make my food as rich and as healthy as I can. Now they're finding out that the skins of a lot of vegetables, though you see me take my vegetable peelings, I put them in a bag, I throw them in the freezer. When I make a stock, they've got a lot of nutrients in them. So when you cook them down as a stock and then strain it and then squeeze out as much of that liquid as you can. I can mine, but those who can't can, you can put it in the refrigerator and use it throughout the week. You get so many more nutrients than you realize. And I'm going to tell you right now, science and medicine, they don't know everything about nutrition and what the body needs and doesn't need. They just give you the essentials that you have to have every day. But they're noticing there's a lot more involved in there, but they just don't understand it. So this is why I go through the ritual of this. But as long as you eat healthy, your body can repair itself constantly as long as you give it what it needs. If you don't, you pay the price. And it'll show up in your hair. It'll show up in your skin. It will show up with diseases. So it's very important. That's why it's so hard to tell you everything you have to learn, but I can give you some of it, but I can show you how you make all your food more nutritious, so at least you can get these. And like if your digestion is down and it's not really working for you, I recommend, and the nutritionist will tell you, they recommend digestive aids with ox bile to help you get back on your feet, and take acidophilus. Now, you can take a vegetable acidophilus, you can take a goat milk acidophilus, or you can just take regular acidophilus. If you can't afford this, there is buttermilk. The yogurt you get in the store, I wouldn't even recommend. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, I wouldn't even recommend that. They've got, because I remember when yogurt, when I was a little girl, tastes like the yogurt I make from my own culture. And then all of a sudden, it changed. And then the government found out, oh, we need these cultures, so put them back in. But you know what they put in? A pinch. They don't give you a lot because it doesn't have a lot of flavor, because yogurt has a sour taste to it. So when you eat that yogurt that you make from your own culture, you're really getting a good culture that will feed your system. And once you have that system up and running, you've got it. But remember, what damages it is drugs will do it. Legal and illegal, okay? Liquor, coffee, tea, sodas. I'm sorry, I had to say it. It's all there, you know. So if you make your drinks, you know, I make my fruit drinks for my family. What I do is I dehydrate fruits, then I buy them, and then I put them. Well, you've seen me put concoctions together. I've done videos on them. Said, well, we'll put a little of this, we'll put a little bit of that, and a pinch in here and a pinch in there, and see what we get. Anyway, that's a little bit for the ladies and men who are having this problem, or if you have a child that is bedwetting. I hope this information helps. But remember, do not assume you can take one bee, because if you take just one of those bees, you're going to throw all the other bees off. So you take all the bees, and the one you're having the problem with, you take extra. And then that'll make sure that they stay in unison with each other. All right? Now, these are still a little warm, so we're going to have to wait probably another 10 minutes. But I wanted to bring that to your attention because I had promised to talk about that with you, to let you know some things, how it works, and I'll bring up other issues like skin problems and what causes it, and we'll just go through some of this and that. The one thing they don't know about is cancer, but I have a personal opinion of what cancer and where it comes from, but that's my personal opinion. All right, so I'll see you after a bit. Okay, it's time to fill these jars up. As you can see, the ricotta cheese whey is more milky. Some people like to actually drink it. I'm not going to lie to you. They'll actually drink it just like this. In the South, it's not uncommon to see a father sit there and put this in. If he doesn't have beer, he'll have this, and he'll have ice in it, and it's a cool drink. And it's actually very good for you. Okay, I want to measure this before I go much further, before I pour it in the other one. Okay. I am going to give it a 1-inch headspace. Because it is going to get hot. Well, I don't think I'm going to have enough for that jar, but if I do, I'll be lucky. Yeah, I don't think so. Well, I'll just put it in the refrigerator if I don't. Because I'll use it. Oh, well, I'll be dang. I'm so close to, I'm just going to leave it. I mean, it's really, really close. Okay, I'm going to make sure there's no bubbles down on the bottom. I wonder if I can't steal some and put it in the other one. So the more you use. snitched a little from each. Now listen, when you wipe the vinegar on this, you make sure whatever you're using is wrung out very dry. Oh, at least my fingers aren't burning this time. And you wipe the rims down. Ladies, do you know what the secret is to a man's heart? I was told this all my life. It's through his stomach. That's why I learned to cook. My mother said if you want to get a good man, you better know how to cook. Even my grandmother said it. She said, if you want a good man, you better learn how to cook. So you're going to take this vinegar, throw it into the pot, and get some lids on these and get them in. And turn this on. I've already greased the bevel parts on the top and the bottom. I'm just going to line them up and get them going. Let's see if I can get them straight. Oh, come on. You're going to give me a problem today, aren't you? I can almost feel it. Actually using my fingers to feel if I've got it where it should be. I think I do. Now, we're going to bring this to a boil. And this is going to vent for 10 minutes steadily. Then we're going to put the weight on it. Now, mine is 10 pounds per square inch or 10 PSIs. You have to Google your place to find out what your altitude is. And then look in your canning book and it'll tell you what your pounds per square inch are, and you use that. Mine's 10. So after this vents for 10 minutes, I'm going to sit there and put the weight on it. And then when the gauge gets up to 10 pounds here, I am going to turn it off and let it go all the way back down to 0. Because you don't have to pressure it any longer than that. You just bring it up to your pounds per square inch and then just turn it off. And we'll walk through the steps to make sure that you get it correct, all right? But right now, it's got to heat up, and I've got to vent this 10 minutes steadily, and I will be back. Okay, it's been venting 10 minutes, so I'm going to put my weight on. And the next stage is to wait till this gets to 10 pounds for me, and then I'm going to turn the whole unit off. Because that's all it needs to be done, and it'll can the whey like it does milk and heavy cream. Okay, it's already 10. I hit my 10 pounds and that's it. Just turn it off. Now this has got to come back down to 0 before I release this and before I open that lid. Each pressure has to go down to 0 and then be released, and then we can get the jars out. Okay. My gauge is down to 0, so I'm going to take this weight off. Let it finish going and releasing the pressure. And when that's done, then I'll open it and I'll be removing my jars. And that's what's left. Once this stops, it usually says give it 5 minutes. Be careful how you open it. Make sure you always open the lid away from you, because you get 3rd-degree burns from this. You can get severely burned. So just be careful how you open it away from you. And enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.